Устали, не устали, как вообще? Живы, да, такие голоса чуть-чуть, окей. А у меня пара вопросов, будем сейчас поднимать руки. Вопрос номер один, кто был на воркшопе? Одна рука, две. Так, во-первых, можно дойти еще до воркшопа, там что-то еще осталось. Как минимум порисовать развязку, перепланировать Славию, если знаете такую большую площадь. Ее можно порисовать и сделать так, как будет. Мы отправим Шапичу, обещаю, он сделает точно так, как вы нарисуете. Вот прям, да, скоро выборы же. Дальше, бумажку такую все заполнили, все выиграли приз. Так, знаете, что это за бумажка? Покупаете кофе, дают викторину, отгадываете викторину, получаете приз. Там еще штук 10 лежит, надо успеть. Так, это второй блок, вопрос. Что еще? Что еще? Осталось 2 лекции всего. Так что чуть-чуть вам пострадать еще, буквально часик, и разойдемся. Ну или не разойдемся, побухаем, пообщаемся и так далее. У нас следующий спикер. It will be in English. So next lecture will be in English. We still have some kind of translation here. So you can try to use this one. But anyway, it will be a really great lecture about trams. So welcome.
Pointer thing or something?
It's here.
Ah, yes.
Sorry.
Wonderful. Give me a second to figure this. Oh, this is already going. Huh. Where? Okay. And then, okay, yeah. So Alexei asked asked all of you if you're a little bit tired. I am also a little bit tired because just 1 hour ago I was on a plane. I had the magnificent idea to take a flight this morning, and the weather had other plans for me. So I'm sorry if I'm still coming to my senses. All right. So my name is Stefan. I work as a freelance business analyst for businesses that operate within the rail sector. My main specialization lies in the general railway sector, so passenger railways from like regional rail to long distance rail, but I also occasionally do like working on the occasional public transit topic, especially since it's always very close and dear to my heart to think about these types of topics in my own city. And today I want to talk to you about the Belgrade tramway network, a topic that I don't get to deal with professionally, as I refuse to work with anything related to the Serbian government at the moment. So this will be a very unfiltered presentation on the Belgrade tramway network and if we took the tram into the 21st century. If there's any Serbs in the audience, I think you already get the gist about taking the tram into the 21st century and why we most certainly did not do that. Anyhow, here is a little mood board for what is to be expected from why these things have to remain green, why unfortunately this legacy livery is gone, and why we insist on having everything in blue. Anyhow, Belgrade's tram system is started as your typical run-of-the-mill legacy tram system in a Central European city. It began operations in the late 1880s, or like during the 1880s, completed electrification up until the early 20th century, and since then continued to like expand step by step. There was a separation of the tram systems in Belgrade during the Second World War due to the bombardment of the King Alexander Bridge, which is where today's Brankos Bridge today stands, until the side to Zemun was completely demolished. And then there was this revitalization of the tramway revitalization of the tramway network in the 80s, which was sort of like the effect of the metro planning that started in the late 70s. And since most of you probably live here, you know where we got with those. So I brought to you a little map from 1908. So this is what the original tram system looked like. You can already see that the I find it so weird that the official English name is the Circle of the Deuce, the line number 2, krug dvojke. Like the Circle of the Deuce was already pretty visible from the first little plans. That system did grow along with this bridge here, which is what the King Alexander Bridge used to look like before World War II. And it's, in my opinion, still quite a shame that they haven't rebuilt it to this standard, because Brankov Most is, I mean, it's also blue. And this was the pre-World War II height of an era we have never seen since in 1938 map. So as you can see, trams used to make up a big part of the communication system within the center, continued all the way to the bridge to Pančevo. There was this one line that continued all the way to Zemun, and then basically already like Predgrađe Kraljice Marije, which is Banjica today, Naselje Kralja Aleksandra, which is Ustanička, so like the branches that you already know at this point, with a few of these being demolished and either being replaced by buses or by trolley buses during the time of Yugoslavia. And then came the 21st century. So the reason why I'm focusing so much on this century is that there was a huge debate in the early 1980s when the metro plans of 1976 when the city of Belgrade started developing the metro plans of 1976, which envisioned like a 6-line system similar to what you see in Munich today. So 6 metro lines that in the center only pass as 3 lines with 2 lines passing through each tunnel. This was the project that had been proposed. And there have been back and forth discussions on whether or not a metro system should be built because of financial constraints. Belgrade at the time had a population of about 950,000, which is equivalent to about the population of the Zagreb metropolitan area today. And Zagreb is at a pretty similar crossroads in discussing whether a metro system is necessary or not. And I was actually talking about this with my mother on the way to the airport today. She still remembers all of those propaganda posters of taking the tram into the 21st century, tramvajem u 21. vek, which was basically the result of a vote that was taken in the city council to abandon metro projects and to instead decide that Belgrade is going to completely expand and revolutionize its tram network to basically cover the city with trams in all directions, similar as you can see in cities like Budapest, Prague, or Vienna, and Warsaw, for example. So basically all of the other ex-Austro-Hungarian metropolis. So that was sort of the idea, and that also became known as tramvajem u 21. vek. And the first of these lines was opened in 1984, and that was the expansion to Novi Beograd. So symbolically, to also, also remember the time where the tram used to cross the King Alexander Bridge, they built the tram crossing over the old Sava Bridge. Some of you might remember the green thing, and every time you would cross it, it would be like very, very noisy. That they've unfortunately removed now as well. And that was sort of like the step into what Belgrade considered to be the future of its tram system. I probably need not tell you how this future turned out. So the 21st century, came, but the 20th century ended horridly. So the 90s were, as you all know, a very difficult period in the history of Yugoslavia and Serbia as a whole. And not a lot of money was flowing, and the money that was flowing was being increasingly devalued by a hyperinflation. So with all of this, all of the budget constraints basically left this entire Trams into the 21st Century project at one expansion to Novi Beograd. So we had one new branch and a plan of the century, and no other urban rail projects that in any way could help alleviate the city's traffic, no firm plans for a metro, and also no money for a metro. And especially with the war ending and a lot of people moving to Belgrade as a result of the consequences of the war, because especially rural areas were left in a complete state of disrepair in which they still find themselves. And Belgrade was basically left with a recipe for disaster with no specific plan on how to create an urban rail network that works. So we entered the 21st century by simply having one new branch and a dream. This brings us to the city's recovery strategy. So public transport planning in Serbia has always just been simply bad. Like it's just always been simply bad. I really, for the life of me, find it is extremely perplexing why I will find like meticulously scheduled tram routes with like schedules for each stations in cities like Arad or Rešica, like little Romanian towns, but in Belgrade, you still have a dynamic schedule at the beginning of every route, and then come what may be. And even until 2025, we still have a long way to go to reach those. At this point, not even European standards. At this point. I don't remember which country it was. It was either like Algeria or Morocco that had like significantly ahead of us in terms of transit planning. And basically, the first city governments after the war focused their energy on revamping the fleet. So the majority of these beauties, the Čeka de Tatras, were attempted to be modernized. You will see a mix of them. Some have these greenish screens. Some of them still have the original Czechoslovak seating. Some of them have like blue plastic seats that were like improvised by Gosha in the late 90s, early 2000s. So we have this patchwork network of Tatras, which, to be fair, those things, the way they're still working, will probably outlive my bloodline. Like those things will be going. And then in the early 2000s, we added these wonderful green trams that were given to us by Switzerland as foreign aid. Which is why, if you ever wondered why the entire like painting madness, because in the early 2000s, all trams had to be red, all buses had to be yellow, and all trolley buses had to be orange. And since then, a few years, like 10 years ago, all public transport had to be red because there was a public vote on that. And then 2 years ago, Šapić decided that all of it had to be blue. I wanted all of it had to be Nemanjić blue, but this isn't the Nemanjić blue, because if you look at the coat of arms of the royal family, it is not the same nuance of blue. But hey, anything for propaganda. But these actually had to remain green because this is one of the funniest things, because I work a lot in transport law as well, and I love little contractual details. The reasons why these still have to be green is because Belgrade doesn't officially own these Swiss trams. Basel is giving them to us on a lease, but still remains the legal owner. The reason for that is that the Swiss were worried that if they were to transfer legal ownership to Belgrade, we would simply abandon the tram system, scrap these for parts, and make money off of it. So, in order for Serbia to not make money off of it, these are on a borrowing deal and have to remain in the original colors of the Basel transportation system. In 2011, this was in the believe it or not, there was a time before Vučić. So in the times before Vučić, there was an actual attempt at modernizing the tram system by ordering these 30 CAF trams from Spain. These were also the first time in 2011 that there were audio station announcements in a public transport vehicle in Belgrade. Like, this was the first time that people heard Sledeće stajalište in Belgrade, approximately 15 years after it was introduced network-wide in Zagreb. So these were a sort of attempt, but the problem was that the sound system that was engineered for them would only work on them and no other public transport vehicles in Belgrade. So you were left with these trams having a working sound system, and this sound system also not being compatible with the new sound system that was introduced in the meantime. And then, where do I begin with these? Maybe later, because these are specific. Anyhow, we are left with this. A network that consists of 9 active day lines. These 2 branches currently deactivated. The Circle of the Deuce being in question. This being introduced in 2019. And a wonderful new Line 8. I don't know if you've heard this, but we're getting a revolutionary new Line 8, which is going to take you from Banjica all the way to Slavia, a Presavska to Tašmajdan, to Vukov spomenik, and to Omladinski stadion. In order for Line 8 to be realized, frequencies on lines 9 and 14 will be reduced. So we will have the exact same amount of frequency. We will have 1 additional line. And the government is framing this as Belgrade's new transport revolution, and there will be a new tram line and everything. And I still cannot convince my grandpa that there is nothing new about this, but it works for the presentation. Line 8 is, I think, a good symptom of how public transport planning is sometimes done in this city, in a way to instrumentalize basically the presentation for the government. One of the reasons why, for example, the bus fleet in Belgrade is relatively decent is because it is easy and cheaper to buy a lot of new buses and take pictures with new buses than to buy new trams and revamp a tram system. The average bus will cost you between like 500,000 and 1.5 million, depending on how fancy you want to get. Like, the cheapest tram you can get nowadays, if it's new, it would be like at 1.8 million. And that would be like a very small one. You would have to go at least to like 2.5 to 3 million to like procure like a decent tram from a decent manufacturer in a decent size. So yeah, however, it's not just Šapić, or it's not just this government that made the network so bad. I have a few pet peeves with the tram network in Belgrade. One of them being this junction design that you will find all over the city, but mostly in Novi Beograd, where mainly crossings will be built in a way that you can create space for an additional left lane and then use the space of the left lane to create the tram station after the crossing has passed. This creates a situation where if a tram arrives on the crossing and it's a red light, it has to stop and just wait for the light to turn green. It cannot use that time for alighting and boarding passengers. It has to cross, wait, continue, and repeat the same cycle. And this is an engineering decision, right? By creating a left lane, traffic can continue to flow because cars that are turning left are not stopping inflowing car traffic. So this design is efficient if it is supposed to enhance car traffic. I don't want to necessarily trash a design for being bad. I mean, I kind of do, but like there was a logic behind this. This wasn't like intentionally made to be bad for everyone. Like this has a use case. And also, what the people back in Yugoslavia who designed this didn't know is that you can actually really, really, really easily fix this with signals. If you have smart signaling that can detect a tram that's approaching, it can prevent these red phases and simply just send it over to the next station. Now, signaling, however, in Belgrade is insanely bad. Smart signaling is apparently installed between Vukov Spomenik and Zvezdara Piazza, so like along the boulevard, where it sometimes works. And there's actually one smart signal that always gives signal priority, and it's the one junction below the Ada Bridge next to the Hypodrome. So when you go from Sajam or from Banovo Brdo or from Novi Beograd and you meet at Petlja Radnička, so a junction that only includes trams, that's one that gives signal priority. Anything that interacts with cars, in Boulevard Kralja Aleksandra, in theory, in practice, I don't see it working because I usually check if it has these like little lights that go up when a tram is registered, because usually those automated signals do. And now we come back to this wonderful tram. So to not bore you with the specifics, and also because I'm kind of running out of time, the trams are wide, a bit too wide. And they can't properly fit everywhere. Most of these issues have been rectified by now, but the order that was, sparked with so much controversy, these trams cannot pass each other on narrow crossings, especially when they're making left and right turns. They can't pass each other, and they can't pass trams of another type. So, if you had a smart signaling system, this would be an easy fix. You tell the smart signaling system to never give the green light to two trams if one tram of the Bozankaya type is present. That way, the system will always know to create safe passage, so it can let two Tatras or two Swiss trams or two CAFs pass, but if a Bozankaya is involved, two trams cannot pass. The signaling doesn't do that, so the solution is very, very Serbian. So basically, if a tram driver spots a Bozankaya on the other side, it's either idi prođi, pusti mene, stani, ne ovako, ne ja ću, ne ti ćeš prvi, onda ću ja. And that's how our probably cheapest and most efficient solution to fixing car traffic is currently being optimized. One more thing I have to say about this tram is just the way that Šapić commented on it, because I cannot forget, and now neither will you. When they were introduced, he stood like at the depot and he called them Nemanjički plavušani. Now, plavušani can mean the blue ones, but it can also mean the blonde ones. And a plavushan, or a Nemanjički plavushan, like a royal blonde, it's like this epiphany of like this like tall, attractive, blonde Serbian man that Šapić is just like openly fantasizing about. And I still And I will just never forget these types of statements. Anyhow, right now, there is a chance that we might see these. This is actually a photo that I took from an actual Astra in Arad. Our Romanian neighbors make these trams on the cheap, and there was a good chance that we were about to get 100 of those. Just like it was announced that we would be getting 100 of the Turkish ones, and then 25 were ordered. And right now there is actually an order for 85 vehicles to be dispatched. So the applications are until the end of February. So right now I am genuinely hoping that there will be more than one contestant, and that in case it is in some way or form, rigged, that there will be a court procedure, because usually that's quite a nice thing to do. So we might actually see a modernization of the fleet soon. And now, I'd like to take you on a little journey to imagine what Belgrade could be. Because I took a few excerpts from the 2021 general plan, and also some sketches that I have also made for suggestions that I created while I was still naive, thinking that I could work with this regime. So, sketch number 1. This is probably the most infuriating one, because this was supposed to be an extension from Omladinsky Stadion all the way into Karaburma. And if you remember this street, before it was widened, it already had like a green patch that was ready for the tram. And the city government instead decided that they were going to add one more lane. So a lane was added, trams weren't added. And this could also have been potentially extended all the way through Boulevard Despota Stefana, and also connected to Novi Beograd through the planned mini metro, which is not a metro, it's a car tunnel. But you could theoretically run 2 tram lanes under it, and then you would actually get a mini metro, what you're promising. This wonderful plan was rejected because studies for the metro the metro system that is currently planned are ongoing, and it already foresees 2 lines to Bežanija, even though this would be a very cheap way to create a relative, like if you imagine this with smart signalization, you could like connect Bežanija to Novi Beograd railway station in like 10 to 15 minutes. Like this could be possible with like a very low investment. Then there was the forgotten loop at the Eurasia Trade Center. The once great plans to connect all of Novi Beograd. This is a mixture from the 2021, like the purple lines here. This is a mixture from the 2021 general plan and the taking the tram into the 21st century. And this little project, which I am a huge fan, because if you've ever taken the tram to Novi Beograd now, you know that you get a 360 panoramic tour of the NCR building, because the tram has to exit from the bridge, go over here. Of course, no signal priority, no signal priority, no signal priority. And once you've completed your very thorough observation of the NCR building, you continue on the regular line. Now, this is supposed to be fixed with a tram line here. I would have personally put it here, but honestly, anything will do at this point. This is a bit of a mess of what they were planning in the center, but there was like an idea of putting a tram all the way from Slavia all the way to Kalemegdan. Does anyone want to guess what we got instead? Eko 2. I'm not joking. Tramline 1 was supposed to be introduced, and then they said, okay, but you know what? An electric bus is also, ecological. Yeah, line number 6 would, instead of being a short version of line number 7, it could have been prolonged all the way here. And also, you could have connected the central railway station, so it would actually be a central railway station. One planned extension from Banovo Brdo all the way through Žarkovo, Cerak to Vidikovac, also very doable, has been under discussion for years, will probably be replaced by a metro branch. And an abandoned extension here, because too many private investors were building buildings, and now it's way too narrow to build anything. Because, I don't know, I guess your local kladionica has priority. And this is the last one I'll present, and this is the most insane one. It's like the alternative to Belgrad na Vodi. Like imagine creating an entirely new district on the other side of the Danube where there is nothing, which might even be better than ruining Savamala. Yeah, that was also in the plans. So yeah, these are basically all of the points that I already made. You need smart signaling. You need to create a system that could, with a low budget, alleviate a lot of the traffic problems that we have today pretty quickly. And I let AI imagine, I'm usually not a fan, but I let AI imagine a future that I want to see. But as you know, reality can always go two ways. And I guess we'll have to see which way we'll go. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Amazing. By the way, we are here not far from a historical place. It's a first depot here, and here in this building or in the next one was the first electricity station for the tram system, for Belgrade tram system. So yeah, just a few meters from here, it's a place where Belgrade trams start.
Where it was born, yes.
Yeah, okay. Questions? So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really fun.
I had to wake up the crowd.
So my question is, what do you think? Is it really metro is necessary for Belgrade, or good tram system can cover all necessity?
Both. The answer is simple, both. Belgrade is way too big to not have a metro system. At this point, it is the largest city in Europe without a metro system. So that would be the best, high capacity solution that we have here. But you need a tram system to complement the metro system, because you cannot have the metro run everywhere. We don't have that much money. No matter what, no matter how well development might be going, we don't have that much money to cover everything with a metro system. And I think if we take examples like Budapest and Prague, that's the kind of synergy I want to see here.
Next one, next question. Oh my God.
Thank you, it was great. My question, what is the difference between 9L, 7L, and why I got lost on the second day of living in Belgrade?
Well, anytime an L is added, that used to mean local. So it used to mean a line that is shorter than its original form. So 7L would, for example, already end at Tashmaidan instead of going all the way to Ustanička. Or 9L will make the end at Slavia. However, in recent years, L has been used to indicate that the line is not running its scheduled route. Given that the old bridge is demolished, 7L and 9L cross the bridge. Now, depending on where in the line the disruption is, you will sometimes see wonderful constructions like 7L1, 7L4, 9L6. This will depend on where in the line the disruption is. So a line will be separated into 6 pieces, and if the disruption comes up at the 3rd percentile of the line, you will get 9L3. Best method, front door boarding, kuc, ide li ovo za Slaviju?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, one more question.
Thanks. It was very entertaining lesson, I would say. So my question is, I'm not a specialist. I'm just a user of the local transportation.
My condolences.
I just have to explain the situation. It's happened every time when I'm waiting for my bus on a bus station, and I see nearby the passing by the trams, which are passing by also. And what I see every time, that buses are overcrowded, and the tram that passing just nearby, that's completely empty. And so I don't know what's the logic behind this. I guess it's I'm not a specialist. So my question to you, why it's happening? It's just because my tram station is near the Slavia, Karađorđev Park, and nearby. So why it's happening every time? And I see it during the day, on the morning, at the evening, just every day. So what's happening?
They're slow. Like the tram is slower. The tram is slower than the bus. Anyone try taking the bus to Blok 45 in Novi Beograd, and then try taking the tram. The tram will take you at least 20 minutes more. So especially for people who are commuting from the suburbs, commuting by tram is just not viable. The only trams that you will ever see that are truly crowded are the ones going to Ustanička, the one that are going through the boulevard because there's no bus alternative. But otherwise, trams are slower. Like if you wanted to take, for example, from Karađorđev Park, if you wanted to go to, let's say, Voždovac, you're better off taking the 33 than the tram. I mean, take the tram because you'll be able to take a seat if you can spare 10 to 15 minutes. But they're slower. They don't have signal priority. They have the exact issues that I presented in the presentation with these stopping twice at crossings, while buses enjoy the car priority and also their bus lane priority. So they are actually faster. And no Serb will voluntarily take the tram unless forced to, or if they prefer it.
It's true, yeah. Thank you very much. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you. Hvala.
Anyway, try to use trams just to support them. I don't know. I will continue in Russian.